All right. Top 50 deep house tracks of 2022. This one was difficult. And although I did start thinking about making this list about a month ago, it was too late. I left it too late. It did feel like a bit of a rush exercise, but I'm very happy with what I came up with. I think next year, 2023, next week, I'm actually going to start creating and adding a short list for the best tracks early. I did create a Spotify playlist, so you can go into Spotify and listen to these tracks. There's 50 tracks in there, and I did try to rank these tracks, and I actually didn't know that you could change the positions of the tracks, so that's pretty cool to do that on Spotify. Shout out to them. So yeah, it's on Spotify. If you do want to go and listen to this playlist, it is on Spotify, and I will share the link in the description. I would say the top 10 of this list, it's very much based on impact, numbers, those more kind of industry commercial factors. 20 to 50, more personal feel, more taste, and more subjective. Also, I couldn't include some remixes, so things like FK Mash, Yebba's Heartbreak remix, which would easily be a top 10 for me. I couldn't include that because that is not on Spotify. Casamena's Beyonce Break My Soul remix isn't on here, so there's a couple of tracks that I would have included in here, but because they're not on Spotify because of copyright issues, if you want to listen to those two tracks, just head over in the description. All right, top 50 deep house tracks 2022. 50 tracks. Again, this could have easily been 100 plus, but we're keeping it to 50. Spotify playlist, I named it 2022 top 50 deep house tracks by Manu. Let me show you. 50 to 40. This is what it looks like. Avidus, Queso, Soul Freaka released an album. Liptonic, another one. China Chameleon, Dilla Andy. Latique, Atjazz actually features a lot on this list. Atjazz, China Chameleon, Analka on the Analka album that he released a few weeks back. Destino and Artwork Sounds out of the Gospel according to Artwork. So yeah, this is what it looks like at 50 to 40. Okay, let's move on to 39 to 30. At 39, I've got Dawson, Julian Gomes, Lover, Sante Ariu, Road to Nowhere out of the Road to Sunray album, which I did include at number 9 on my Deep House top 10 albums and EPs video. FK Mash, Reglitch, Summer Breeze, and FK Mash I think features a couple of times on this list, and as one of the top producers, it's only right that he is mentioned multiple times. Maxi Meraki, The New Abnormal at 36. And Maxi Meraki, one that this year impressed me a lot. Anytime Maxi Meraki released a track, I did press play. Melodic, deep, sometimes Afro, and yeah, I did have to make a decision whether to include him on Afro or deep. It came down to Deep House, but he makes the list nonetheless. Parable, Searching for Your Light. Strivo Reality, Pablo Bolivar. Oof, this is one of my favorite tracks actually of the year. Could have been higher. Placed it at 33, but Pablo Bolivar vanished. Amazing track. If you haven't heard that track, press play on that, man. So good. Buddha Kid, Phantonim 32. Enosoul, another one. Hitmaker. Enosoul makes hits. Sweet Rosie, Gabbana. Mantua's Groove at 30. That's what I have in this kind of middle pack of my top 50 tracks. And I think this section here is quite technical, is a bit more kind of melodic, a bit more international, a bit more, melodic, as I said. Very different sounding to the 50 to 40 section. Moving up 29 to 20. Let's see who made it. And this is one of the biggest bangers. This was a hit this year on replay for me and loads of other people. Dearson, Uncle R, Spirit. Jazwell, The Godflex at 28. Great EP, which I did include in my top 10 Deep House. Moving up, Falling, another banger, another hit. Oscar Bo, C Black, Rock Rodamal, TBT3, Crackazat. This track, I wouldn't argue if this track, everybody talks about it, was in the top 10 for you. At 24, Sandy Artwell, Crusade. When I first heard this track, I just loved it instantly. El Payo, Black Girl from Soweto, featuring CEO at 23, Hyperphonic Altar. And that was actually one of the best albums of the year, Altar, Hyperphonic at 22. Jesse Trinidad, My Route to Canoeing. Very good track. If you haven't heard that track, yeah, spend time on it. At 20, Kanye Music, Never Sleep Again. And this is where obviously we're getting into that top tier, right? Those tracks that feature on mixes, DJ sets regularly. This is where the names start to sound more familiar. So yeah, that is my 29 to 20. Now, 19 to 10. This is like deep house nerd territory. 19 to 10. I feel like if you like these tracks, if you connect with these tracks, you know your stuff. If you like the sound here, if you get the sound, you know your stuff. At 19, Glen Underground, Happy Hour, crazy track. Dawson Hyena, The Silence, Ecstasy, Hyperphonic, B-Key, Lomfana, Leptonic remix. I dig it. At 16, hands down, one of the best sounds of the year, The Real MK, When I'm Alone, Addictive Dub. 15, Ad Jazz, Fred Everything, Two Legends, Stay a Little While. Jivo, Above Waters. Jivo had a massive year. He is at number 14. Imperiu, Voltaire Fantasmi. That track, anybody who likes electronic music will bump their heads to that track. Voltaire Fantasmi at 13. At 12, Kid Funk remix of Maribenta. More salsa track, more Afro-Cuban vibes in this one, but a great production. A great production. And again, this is where the quality of the production is at a different level. At number 11, I've got Timma Deep with Strong. Again, an inclusive sound that is for everyone, and Timma Deep did a great job. All right, top 10. Are you ready? Top 10. And at 10, these were the tracks that, when thinking about the best music, the best deep house that I heard this year, automatically these names came to mind. The Kanye Musics, the FK Mashes, the El Payos, the Beats by Hands, the Chronicle Deeps. Like, these were the names that automatically came to mind when thinking about deep house. So when it came to the top 10, it was fairly simple for me to place these in this section. You can rank them whichever way you want, but to me, this is what the top 10 tracks look like for 2022. At 10, Zito Moa, Groovy, Kikan. Zito Moa, an artist. Like, you cannot replicate what this guy can do. He's a number 10. Louis Vega, number 9. One of the best albums of the year. Deep House album of the year. Another Day in My Life. Kerry Chandler. This is a hit. This is a radio hit. This is a classic track, and that entire album will educate you on what it means to be one of the legends of electronic music. Kerry Chandler, man, shout out to him. Number 7, El Payo, Frequency. Kind of leaves you speechless and makes you think like, oh, I didn't know that I liked this type of music, or I didn't know that my music taste could stretch this far. That's what El Payo did for me this year. At 6, FK Mash, CEO, Bumblebee. Shout out to CEO for over and over featuring on some of the best sounding tracks ever when it comes to deep house. But yeah, this track released on Sondela, Headbanger. Everybody knows this track. FK Mash and CEO did an amazing job with that track. At 5, I've got DJ Octopus with Owa and Wami. I bet that 99% of you watching this video have never heard this track. Legendary track, and I challenge you to put your producer hat on, to think beyond just listening to music. really try to absorb the sounds that you hear with this track. It's like that. It's like that. At number 4, shout out to Artwork Sounds, man, and Griffith Marlowe. This play on track on the Back to Basics EP. When I heard this one, I really felt a lot. I felt a lot, and I became even more of a fan of these guys and what they're doing and the sound that they are pushing out, man. This track is patient. This track is full of life and full of just essence and substance, right? This track did a lot for me. Top 3. Top 3, for me, these are immovable objects. I think to me, these 3, you cannot move these tracks out of here. Make Up Your Mind, Chronicle Deep. Come on. No, what are we talking about? Come on. At number 2, DJ Co's Sophia Kennedy, Drum Me Up Flashy Emmy remix. It's kind of music, man. At number 1, and I think it's pretty difficult to debate with this pick, although it's a remix of a very popular track. This track probably got the most downloads out of all of these, right? This is a track that you play and automatically you know it's gonna work. I think when it comes to Deep House, this remix, this track, this production, the delivery, everything was a hit, was a success. And yeah, I had to put it at number 1. Shout out to Beats by Hand, who also released an album, I Am Jazz, on State True Sounds. The top 3 to me could be interchanged, but top 3, top 5 could be interchanged. So yeah, guys, that is my top 50 tracks. Making a list of 50 tracks isn't easy. At the end of the day, it's a personal list. Let me know in the comments which track you would have liked to see. This is on Spotify, so if you do want to listen, if you do want to go in and jam and vibe to it, you can. Tomorrow, top 50 Afro House tracks. See you then.